Hi, this is Dawn Neiman, and I am attempting to provide some extra practice for all of you who have just been recently trained so that you can practice correcting errors. Now, obviously, no child is going to make the same mistake as anyone else, but here are some common things you could say, especially how do you spell, to get them to the right answer without telling them the right answer. So if you say spell the word nose and they spell N-O-Z-E, you can say, but what says Z between two vowels? And they should be able to change it to N-O-S-E. If you have baker and they spell it with an I-R, I would say, how do you spell at the ends of words? For sneeze, this is not a great fix because you know that it could be E consonant E, or EA. If they spelled sneeze this way, I would just say, what's another way to spell E in the middle? Plai, P-L-A-I, is a really good mistake. I would say, how do you spell A at the end of words? Grow would be a similar one. How do you spell O at the end? Now for below, they have two open syllables. I guess that is possible. It happens in a few words like silo and solo and polo. But typically open syllable with just the vowel is reserved for at the end of the first syllable. So I would just say, okay, I love that you have B. Now let's look at the low part. How do you spell O at the ends of words? For brite, this is another one of those good thinking. What's another way to spell I in the middle? Or you could even say, how do we usually spell I in the middle when it ends with a T? For center, really common mistake using that S instead of a C, I would ask, how do you spell S with an E, I, or Y? For cage, again, pretty good thinking. This is how they've been spelling J since they have started reading and spelling. I would again ask, how do you spell J with an E, I, or Y? For the word budge, you could get them to finger spell and do B, A, J. And I might say, how do you spell J right after short vowels? You could also say, what's this E going to do to the U? It's going to kick it to make it say its name, right? So that would say buge, or it could say booge. How do you spell J right after short vowels? This is also a really good mistake. They just have the wrong partner. This is how you spell oi in the middle. So I would say, how do you spell oi at the end? This one auto-corrected. Sorry about that. I had spelled it S-H-O-U-E-R. How do you spell ow at the end of syllables? End of words, end of syllables. For dawn, okay, A-U says aw in the middle, A-W says aw at the end, unless you have an L, N, or sometimes K. So A-W goes in the middle right before an L, N, or K. So I would ask, how do you spell aw when it comes before an N? Or how do you spell aw when it comes before an L, N, or K? For birth, this is the most common way to spell I would do, how do you spell for old words? Because birth has been around since the beginning of mankind. But for burst, I would do, how do you spell for hurt words? I hope that you found that really helpful, And I would say just keep on practicing. And the more mistakes that your students make, the more practice you will get in correcting their errors.